Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. I'm the founder, president, and the chief listening officer here at our network. Today's show is fashion, travel, and fitness. My co-host and friend, the lovely DIANN Boehm, has the day off today, but guess what? We have a super special treat for you. Her daughter, Rachel Boehm, is here with us. And Rachel has been on the platform before. She has so much expertise and knowledge that we have to have her back. So we're going to be talking about skincare, fitness, and travel. Let's welcome Rachel and find out what she's been up to. Hi, Rachel.
Hey, how are you? It's nice to be back on the show.
It's nice to have you back, and you're looking radiant as always. I know you just had a big trip that you came back from, and I'd love to just start off with that, and then we'll get into your professional work and the topics of the day. So tell us, where have you been?
I was throughout France and then a little bit of Spain, and I was very sad to come back. Not that I don't love my life, but things are different when you're traveling. And I love that part of your show focuses on that, because I think it's an experience that everyone should be able to have. So
thank you. So while I have you on Spotlight, tell us a little bit about what it was like to be out of the United States and be traveling. Like, what can people expect when they're going to Europe?
Well, I know people hate this answer, but it's always the true one. It depends. So I really should just speak from my experience. And plus, Europe it depends on what part of Europe and whether you've traveled before. So I went with my dad for most of the trip, and then I was by myself for the final 4 days. But I've traveled extensively throughout Europe, North America, a little bit of Central America, and also the Middle East. But another friend had asked me and said, I've never traveled alone before. Do you think it's safe? And it really does depend. My dad and I are very, very good travelers and good travel buddies. So what I will say is, if you've never traveled before, or you've never gone that type of trip out of the country before, you would want to go somewhere where you might be able to speak the language. I don't speak French as much as I would love to learn. I do speak some Spanish. So that was helpful when I was in Spain. So I would say things to consider are, what experience are you looking to have? Like, what is the intention of the trip? Do you speak the language? Do you feel comfortable kind of doing that acclimation? How long are you planning on going? Kind of the budgets, all of those logistical things. And really consider reaching out to, a travel agent, whether it's somebody who does type of concierge type trips, which I know someone who does and really works with you to build a dream experience, or it's someone that can just make those logistical arrangements for you and also be that point of contact in case something goes wrong. And then always get travel insurance is what I'm told by the pros to never be without.
Great tips. Thank you so much. And of course, we have to promote our in-house travel expert, Sandy Adams. So please do reach out to her. You can get her contact information on usaglobaltv.com.
Absolutely. So, Sandy's a friend of mine, so I'm glad that she's doing well.
Good. Good. Excellent. Excellent. So Rachel, I always notice when I see you how beautiful you look and how you have that glow to you. And when we're traveling and we're in and out of planes and we're in hotels, we're not getting maybe the same kind of sleep. We have jet lag. It definitely affects our skin. So what are some tips that you can share about what you do to keep your skin looking so healthy?
Well, thank you. Sunscreen. And I say that I am not perfect. So, my dad was like, okay, let's reapply. And sometimes my dad is better at it than I am. Him coming from more I'm definitely have the vanity side a little bit, maybe more, but he's like, he doesn't want to get skin cancer, right? So, and neither do I. So he was very helpful to have and remind me, because sometimes you will get out and you're caught up in all you're seeing and experiencing, and you don't remember to do that reapplication. So set a reminder on your phone if you need to, but take it with you, reapply, find one that works. Wear a hat. My ophthalmologist would hate me if I didn't wear sunglasses. So wear a hat, protect your skin, do all those prevention measures, clothing, you can get sun reflective clothing. And then in terms of, you mentioned planes, hotels, the air is different. So pollution, smoking, whether you smoke or you're around it. In Europe, they smoke a lot more than we do here in the States. To an extent, your diet, your nutrition will play a role, but really you're looking at change in air, change in humidity, pollution, and things like that are going to cause that noticeable effect. So determine what you really need to take with you in advance. You may not want to take all of your steps if you have a multi-step routine. So make sure you're at least bringing the basics. And then be diligent. I know it can be, you're out forever, exploring, going out to the museums and the shows, and you come home or you come back to the hotel and it's late at night and you don't really want to go through the washing, but keep your routine intact, because it will really help nourish your skin and make sure that it is holding up as best as it can under those change of conditions.
Thank you very much. One of our team members, you may know her, Katrina Valente. Your mom actually introduced me to her. She is an international facialist in Dubai, and she was sharing on one of the shows that although people think that putting makeup on or various layers is not good for the skin, it actually protects the skin from the sun and from pollutants. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, it depends, right? So it depends on your skin type. It depends on what you're putting on your skin. Everything that you use should be specific to your skin. I'm not saying that, you and I can't wear the same cleanser and every single thing has to be completely personalized. What I am saying is that, you should use a skin cleanser that is specific to your skin type and concerns, not just because it's trending on TikTok or with a celebrity. So your routine should be personalized in the sense that it is specific to, do you have dry skin? Do you have oily skin? Sometimes you need to change it for the season. The makeup that you're using, is it, prone to cause breakouts, right? Is it going to sit in the pores or is it not? Is it going to blend nicely into your skin? Is it the right color and tone? And there are so many things that can go into it. And I think that's one thing I love about the business that, that mine is partnered with, is that you need to find a balance between something that is aesthetically pleasing to look at and to use, but also works. And it can be really tricky for people. And so I like that ours is very streamlined. But I never want to say that somebody is right or wrong. I would just say my caveat there would be, again, it depends. If the products are right for you and they do include an SPF factor, then they can be protective. But just having a layer of, cosmetic powder is not going to do much unless it does have that SPF protection in it, in terms of providing protection from UVA and UVB.
Thank you, Rachel. I've shared with you in the past that I've had challenges with my skin, and my skin's been really good. And I just put this out there to try to help someone else. But when I go for a walk, like on the weekends, I'll walk for 2+ hours, and I have my big hat and my big sunglasses. And what I was doing was I was wearing long sleeves and long pants, and someone in my family told me I looked ridiculous walking around the island like that. So I decided, okay, I'll go with the sunscreen. And so I went with the sunscreen, and I have various ones, and I have a rash all over my neck. Anywhere the sunscreen went, you can see. So fast forward, I decided to go back to the long sleeves, and it was about 90 degrees last weekend. And now I got eczema back all over, like anywhere where you might perspire. So I'm sure I'm not the only person. It's just frustrating that you want to take care of your skin. You're doing what you think you should be doing, but maybe it's the food, maybe it's the clothes. I don't know what it is. It gets to be that I don't know what it is. It's just not working.
Yeah, no, and you know, you have a specific condition that you've talked about before, and so that I would say go talk to your dermatologist, go talk to your doctor, and I would say that for anyone. So, you know, for somebody that has or may have a diagnosable skin condition, you need to go see a dermatologist. And there's different types, right? There's medical and there's cosmetic. And so there are tons of skin conditions. Acne is technically a skin condition, and it's just so prevalent we don't necessarily think of it that way. Some of these can be managed by over the counter, and I work with a number of clients that do manage, you know, acne and eczema and things like that with over the counter. But sometimes they, you know, like anything related to the body, some things you can manage without, say, a prescription, and other things you can't. And so it's being a little bit open to having some trial and error on yourself and know what the limits are with over the counter and when you need to go see more advanced care. You know, for somebody that say doesn't have eczema or doesn't have psoriasis or anything like that, and they have a reaction to a product, it could be they have an allergy to that ingredient. It could be a change in the dishwasher, like, or the laundry detergent that they used. So kind of controlling the experiment, thinking like a scientist, you know, can help you pinpoint. You can also, whenever you do a new product, you can spot test on your jawline. And so, you know, you would just do a little bit here, and then not apply anything else, and just wait for 24 hours and see, okay, how did my skin react to it, if at all? And then you have a better idea as to whether or not your skin is going to tolerate that. You could be very conservative and say anytime you try a new product, you should do that. But typically, you know if you have sensitive skin or not, in terms of reactions to things. And so if you find that you often need to be mindful of what you're trying because of reactions, then you should always be spot testing.
Yeah, that's good advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you know, something that I also wonder about, just to have a chat with you. We have a show called Loving Longevity, and we've got people here who are researchers on longevity, and many times what they're sharing, at least my understanding what they're sharing, is that a lot of skin conditions start with leaky gut, and then with stress, and then with this and with that. And I don't know if I believe, I'm not questioning their their
For
expertise,
sure. Yeah.
but I don't know that I believe that. I also believe that genetics and environment, and we're predisposed to get certain things, and how do you manage it once you get it? So I don't know. Any thoughts you have on that?
Yeah, just a few. And I just want to say, to be clear too, like I'm a skincare consultant, so I do know a lot. I'm a board certified health and wellness coach, but there's limits to my training expertise on this. And so if you have any of these things that we were talking about, please go see a dermatologist, to the extent that they can look at not only your skin, but they can run any type of test that they need to, and work with other doctors that you may have. So that's just my kind of my big disclaimer here, because it would be unprofessional of me not to give it. In terms of, you know, what we know, not just with skin, but with everything, with the mind-body connection, right? There are a number of things there is a connection between your mind and your body, between your body and your skin, between your mind and your skin. It is all related because you are one person. The extent, though, to which some things start, you can't say everything starts here, because that's just, there's a cycle. And it's hard to know, you know, definitively, and to make a blanket statement for every person. From the research that I have read, what we might know so far is it's just really time to ask more questions and do more research. And, you know, for somebody, maybe it is their gut, and that is kind of the main driver of some of their conditions. But for somebody else, it might be that condition is the main driver, and it's manifesting its way, you know, it's manifesting in other ways that include a reaction in the gut or digestive. Stress plays a huge role in everything. Sleep. There's a reason we always talk about lifestyle. Are you sleeping enough? Are you are you feeding and drinking are you nourishing your body like you love it, or like you're rushed for time and you don't really care? And I say it specifically because I don't want to make people think that they need to be on a certain type of diet, but is your eating plan filled with nourishing foods and drink? Right now and for years, it's been kind of shown that genetics play about 20% of the role in visible signs of aging. So that's why lifestyle is so important. And you see that too with other conditions, other physical conditions. You may have genetics that predispose you to certain things, but that just means the light switch is there and your lifestyle is going to turn it on or off, right? So I have certain chronic diseases that run in my family, but knock wood, so far I'm okay, because my lifestyle isn't conducive to developing, say, type 2 diabetes. Again, knock on wood, right? So the other thing that's important is oftentimes people think, oh, my skin is really dry, I need to drink more water. Okay, if you're dehydrated, yes, please drink water, because water is important for every bodily function. And it does play a role to an extent in, say, your skin, but not in the way that we think, right? So you can't eat a carrot and tell it to go to your waistline and tell like the cookie to like just not stay in your body. You can't tell the water to only go to your face. It's going to go to your, the rest of your bodily organs first that are like keeping your, your heart pumping and all of these things. So you can't spot target your food and drink that way. And that's, again, coming back to the lifestyle. What are you feeding it as a whole on average? Are you sleeping enough on average? Are you exercising enough on average? And then are you doing those other lifestyle behaviors that we mentioned, like SPF? Every dermatologist will say that is the primary anti-aging, is protecting yourself from the sun, because a lot of the visible signs of aging start with sun damage and sun exposure.
Wow, so many wonderful, relevant points. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
I have a follow-up question. So
Okay.
I'm a little crazy in that I wear my Apple Watch, even with my good watch, because I want to get credit for the standing hours and for the calories and for my sleep. It tells
Yeah.
me my blood oxygen level. So is this something that as a health coach you would recommend, or do you think it's a little, I mean, there's no judgment, but do you think we can go a little overboard in tracking all these things?
Absolutely. I mean, we can go overboard with drinking water, right? Like we can go overboard with anything. And so, that's the famous line, right? The famous quote, the dose makes the poison. For some people, they're going to get the activity tracker. They're going to use it for, I don't know, maybe a month. But then like the New Year's resolutions, it's gone, like, oh yeah, that thing, I never look at it anymore. And I'm just as guilty. Other people, it can be a great driver of this behavior change and keep them accountable, and it's wonderful, and it's at a level that's kind of responsible, for lack of a better word, right now. And then for other people, they can get a little too obsessive, and it can lead to disordered eating, exercise, exercise obsession, over exercise. It can lead to feelings of guilt, like, oh my God, I got this many, walking steps or points or standing points or whatever yesterday, and I didn't get them today. Like, I suck, I'm a failure. And so it's important to start noticing your mental and emotional relationship to these tools, and when they stop becoming tools and are more like handcuffs. If you start telling yourself like I should a lot, or I didn't, and you just start being aware of your self-talk, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and how that relates to these trackers, or whether it's the watch or the ring, or an app that's tracking your diet. How is it making you feel about yourself? Because what the goal, I hate the word should, but I'm going to use it. But the goal should be is that it's a helpful tool. It's not kind of a prisoned way of life.
That is a great way to phrase it, because just with this watch, I feel like it is a helpful tool. But for example, yesterday, I just didn't have the time to work out. And every day I try to work out for at least an hour, and I put it back on the charger, and I swear I was looking at it like, stop looking at me like that. I can't do it today. Sorry. But
Yeah.
that's all in here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all do it. It's not saying that if you have that thought once, like, oh my gosh, I'm doing that thing that Rachel said and I need to throw this thing away or put it down the disposal. Don't do it down the disposal. But, but it's to say like, hey, okay, that's a thought that I'm having. I don't need to have that thought. I don't need to entertain it. And then just move on. And if you can laugh about it and like the next day you're like, oh my gosh, that was weird. Like we're doing now, cool. But if you notice that it becomes like repetitive and frequent and often, and it starts sending you down this spiral, or you can even, with eating, right? Say it changes your relationship with food in a way that's harmful to even your social life, right? If you stop wanting to go out with friends because you're afraid of what the food might be, or yeah, what the food might be, oh my gosh, if I eat this one thing, I'm going to get fat. Monitor your self-talk. And as soon as you start to notice that these relationships are changing, have kind of a conversation with yourself. Are you able to walk away from the tracker or whatever that inciting kind of incident or tool is? Or do you feel like you need to reach out to somebody to get some help to help you use tools like this in a way that nourishes you mentally and emotionally while also progressing you towards your goals? Because, I'm mindful of what I eat, but the intention is different than say somebody who's mindful of what they eat because they're afraid of food. So it's never necessarily the action. Some actions, yes, but it's usually not the action. It's the intention behind the action that will really be a clue as to, where you are in the health continuum.
Thank you, Rachel.
Sure.
I want to talk a little bit about how we look at food. And I'll give an example. When I was growing up, we very lucky went out to dinner a lot. We had dinner parties, and dinner was a big part of our family. And my father would always say, we're not eating, we're dining. And even if we were at a restaurant, he would say to the server, do not come over until we're ready because we're just starting to get warmed up here. We're going to be closing the place out. And so that was the mindset that I had. And then looking at my own health and feeling like I need to take responsibility for it, I look at food in a different way. Now food to me is a tool. It's a tool to help this container, this motor, this engine continue, as opposed to it's there to entertain me. So I would just like to know what your thoughts are about that. And, if you were my coach, what would you share with me?
Yeah, no, that's really beautiful and I really appreciate you sharing kind of your evolution there or your change there. Food is many things, and that can be the blessing and the curse of it, right? So for some people, it's family, it's culture, it's ritualistic, it's an experience. It is something that they love to experience and experiment with, and it is entertainment, or it is part of entertainment. For other people, it's kind of, food is fuel, right? And I think what's lost is that the idea that it can be all of these things, that it doesn't have to be all of these things at once, right? So, and there's not necessarily a right or a wrong. That's the other piece too. If you are happy with what you are eating and who you are in your body and you feel like you are healthy, great. I honestly don't care what anybody looks like. I want you to be happy and healthy, period. If you are not happy or healthy, or you are not happy with how you look, like that's when you would have a conversation with a coach, with a board certified health and wellness coach, with a mental counselor, mental health counselor, therapist, dietitian, all of the above, depending on what's going on. The thing that I think is sad is that, I really hope it's passing. It depends on who you talk to, whether or not it is or has, but that idea of diet culture is saying that you can't have pleasure in food, or healthy food has to be this. And that's just inaccurate and does not meet certain people and cultures where they are at, right? So you can't tell somebody whose culture is wrapped around things like beans and rice and tortillas and, I don't know, even, fried chicken and stuff. If those are pieces that connect them with their family and that is part of their, not just their diet, like, oh, well, that's what I'm used to eating, but that is like an intrinsic part of who they are, you cannot tell them, well, then to be happy, healthy, you have to give it all up. They may in time choose to, but you cannot tell them that, because you're going to lose them. And that just doesn't help. That's not a helpful conversation. It's like telling somebody, and this happened to me many times with my own, journey. It's like telling somebody who's underweight that their problem will be solved if they go eat a hamburger. It's just not a helpful conversation. What you can talk to them about is, how are you preparing these ingredients? Maybe there's trade-offs. Maybe we can tweak certain things here and there. Maybe we can change portion sizes and leave the recipe alone. We all just need to be dig a little bit deeper and stop trying to label food as one thing or the other and say even that healthy food has to be this. Healthy food can be whatever you want it to be. It's more about how much of it you're having, how are you preparing it, and what trade-offs are you willing to make to reach certain goals that you've set for yourself.
So I have you there. What are your thoughts about sugar?
I would say, sugar is an easily over-consumed ingredient, but I would not say that, and there's people going to say sugar is the devil and sugar is evil and it's causing all these problems. And you know what? Like, yeah, sugar is linked to a lot of things, but how much of it are you eating? Is it a natural sugar? Like, you're not talking about the sugar from an apple or a watermelon, you're talking about, sugar from a lot of candy. So what is the source of the sugar or sweetener in your coffee? How much are you having? What is the source? And again, what trade-offs are you willing to make? One of the biggest things that I try to coach, whether it's my health and wellness clients or even my skincare clients, right? Because again, some days you just don't want to do the whole routine. Or you might say you want a 10-step routine, but you can only afford a 3-step routine. So the idea is not an all or nothing. It's always something, right? So every now and then, yeah, I have some candy or I'll have a bite of ice cream or whatever. And that's sugar. And I'm still a health and wellness coach and the sky hasn't fallen and nobody's, yelled at me yet. And you're welcome to do so. I probably won't listen to you because you're also a person. You're a human being and you're living, and life is meant to have pleasure. But I don't overdo it relative to my activities and my lifestyle, right? So it comes back down to, what are your goals? What is your lifestyle? Where are you starting from? Where do you want to go? What trade-offs are you willing to make? Because somebody may not want to give up that dessert, but they are willing to make trade-offs somewhere else that helps everything kind of work themselves out. And that's a great starting point. And let the rest worry about itself when you get to that point, If you don't need to worry about a level 10 problem if you're at level 1.
I like that. Let's talk a little bit about fitness. So when I was eating sugar, I loved chocolate covered pretzels. What I would do is I would be on my spin bike eating the pretzels while I'm spinning, because now I'm actually burning calories. But then I'd see that it was 390 calories for the 3 pretzels, but I didn't necessarily have as much time then to ride the bike. So it became this unhealthy thing. So I said, you got to get rid of the sugar. So my question about fitness, I just read today, and I'm trying to remember which outlet I read this on, but studies have shown that if you have between 150 and 300 minutes per week of intensive exercise, or 300 to 600 moderate minutes of exercise, you will live much longer than those who don't. So for most people, is an hour a day something that's possible, taking off a day or two? Like, so what are your thoughts about this new information that's out? Do you believe in it?
I haven't read it, so I can't say specific to that. What I will say is studies are always finding something. And often you could probably find a study that will tell you exactly what you want to hear. And that's opening up a whole other can of worms with responsibility and reliability and, in research, and it's a problem. Things to look at when you're looking at research at studies. First off, please read past the headline of the news article that's reporting on the study. Look at the study. Who was it done on? Was it done on nurses? Was it done on like 18-year-old college males and you're a 50-year-old woman? Who was the study done on? Because it probably wasn't done on someone like you. And if it was, great, cool, keep reading. And that's not to say that studies that are done on, say, nurses or college men are not applicable to you, but just keep that in mind. How many other studies are reporting similar information? Have the studies been replicated? Who were they funded by? It's not always a bad thing if they're industry funded. It's just keep that in mind. Who are these researchers? Was the journal peer reviewed, or was it pay to play? There's just a lot of things that go into responsibility and research. What's their background of the reporter that's writing the article about the study? Did they interview the study, or are they just reading kind of the highlights and then putting together a news article because they're on deadline? Do they have a background in science so that they can do that responsibly? So there's just a lot there, Dr. JACALYN, in terms of this particular, studies in general and pulling health headlines from research. What I will say is that people who exercise to a point, because you can overdo it, right? We already talked about that, but typically more active people tend to be healthier. Going back to your other question, and what is active, right? So walking is wonderful. Just go walk. Like, stop worrying about like, oh my God, what's this gym? And I hate running, so I can't exercise. And well, I don't know how to strength train. Like, technically, should you be doing cardiovascular aerobic work and strength training? Yes, right? Health and Human Services has long said that those are the goals, is having some aerobic and some conditioning rather, and some strength. And there's legit studies showing that. But again, you don't want to worry about a level 10 problem if you're at level 1. If you can just start walking, go from 0 to walking 20 minutes a day, awesome. Master that. Don't worry about anything else. Just start there. And as soon as that becomes easy, take it up to 30. Take it up to 40. You can do it 10 minutes a day, or 10 minutes in 3 10-minute chunks if doing it all at once does not work with your schedule. When that becomes routine, awesome. And you feel like you want to do some of this strength training and figure out what that is, great. Then we can talk about ways to do that. But the only way to make anything doable is to make sure that you are carving out time and to dedicate to it. And the way you do that with anything is taking it one step at a time and putting it into your schedule, right? BJ Fogg has a great tiny habits model for behavior change, and he talks about how like you can build a habit of flossing by flossing one tooth at a time. Just start with 1 or 2, and as soon as it feels like work, stop. And the next day, 1 or 2, 3, as soon as it feels like work, stop. And then as you build, the next thing you know, you will be a regular flosser, and your dentist will be so happy, and your wallet will be so happy. But it all was started by not beating yourself up about not doing the whole mouth, or by saying, well, I don't have time to do all of it, I'm not going to do any of it. It started by saying, I'm going to do like 1 or 2 teeth today and call it a day, and then building from there.
Thank you. I really admire this great coaching that you're giving to our audience and also to me. And the fact that you pointed out, don't always believe everything that you read. And the questions that you posed are just so spot on, because the media tries to grab our attention with these salacious headlines and you get drawn in, but who did write it? Who was the study? All those questions that you just said, they become so important. And the other thing I love, if you search, you will find articles, studies that have the exact opposite outcome or perspective from that one.
And just really fast, so as somebody who used to work in journalism, right, we, you know, the joke is if it bleeds, it leads. So that's why the news is what it is, right? And now we have all the algorithms too. So you're not just opening up a paper that's giving you tons of ranges of articles that have been selected by that publisher to put out today, and maybe you'll stumble on something you wouldn't necessarily have thought to look at, but whoa, like you didn't know that that was really cool, and it's found you. You're only getting fed what you've been fed before because of that algorithm, because you clicked on something else. And so, you know, keep that in mind too, that again, there's pros and cons to that. But a con is that you're going to keep getting that same stuff unless you proactively seek out additional information. So start fact checking and doing a little bit deeper research behind what the algorithms are feeding you in terms of what they're calling news. The onus is on the consumer, unfortunately.
Another excellent point. Thank you. Tell us, Rachel, how do you work with your clients and what does that onboarding process or continuum of working with you look like?
Yeah, it's a little different depending on if we're talking about skincare or we're talking about health and wellness coaching. Both start with a free consult. And I think anybody that doesn't do a free consult is, run away. Because everybody should, because it only, no coach or consultant wants to work with somebody that's not the right fit for them. So if we're having a conversation and I'm not the right fit for you and you're not the right fit for me, I will most likely refer you, to the best I can to somebody that's in kind of my referral network. So with skincare, it's pretty easy. I have a 60-second AI-powered consult tool that we'll do, and then I'll have a conversation with you about the results just to make sure, we've both interpreted it correctly and that I can best guide you. Again, I mentioned the example of like a 10-step routine versus a 3-step. Because I come from this coaching background, I will tell you why the basic regimen is a good fit and that's been recommended for you. But if that's not in your budget, or it's just you're not used to using 3 steps right now and you're not sure that you're going to, I would rather help you find kind of one thing to start with and just make sure you know what to expect in terms of results with using that one thing, and then building the habit from there. So I really do like to go a little bit above and beyond with my skincare clients compared to maybe some of the other consultants. And then in terms of health and wellness coaching, we're going to have a conversation about like what made you reach out, what are you looking for? Again, both are going to ask you about goals and kind of where you are now versus where you want to go. And with health and wellness coaching, we're really going to peel back that onion because, somebody might come and say, well, I'm here because I want to lose weight. But what we end up finding as we start working together is they really need to develop time management tools first, because we're looking for the root cause or the root contributing factor. And it's not that they're not motivated to eat better. It's not that they're not motivated to get moving. It's that they don't have the ability to manage their time. Or feel like they're a priority to do that, so that they can start acting on what they already know how to do. And look, every single one of us knows, eat healthy, move more, sleep more. No one has not heard that. We need to understand why we're not doing it and how we can do it. And that's where I take my clients. So it's initial consult and then figuring out from there how often you want to work together.
Well, I love your process. What's the best way for people to reach out to you, and who would you like to do so?
Yeah, so I think you have it, but I'm going to put it in the chat just in case, Dr. JACALYN. So there's a kind of a one-stop shop link, if you will, that I always update that or my website. But this link I just put in the chat, my On a Mission, will get you to me directly. It will get you to kind of latest happenings, and it will get you to my website and my blog, my newsletter, all of those good things. And so you can just start from there, but you can reach out to me if you have questions about what we talked about today. if you want to get the process on how to work together and see if you're a good fit, the people I typically work with are people that are ready to kind of make a change. They're not thinking and hem-hawing about it. Like they may not have any idea of where to start, but they are ready to take that action, to take that first step. So if you're kind of like, okay, I'm ready to jump, I just don't know in what direction, then you should reach out and let's see if we can best guide you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to see you and just hear about what's going on with you.
Likewise, thank you so much. You provide such a wonderful platform for people. So I really appreciate being on it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I think you're coming back on another show in the fall.
Yes, to talk about my book.
Yay! Tell us where you are in that process.
So that one is finished. So I have a memoir that came out a couple of years ago. We just celebrated the 2-year anniversary. And I have a couple autographed copies left that I can sell for a little bit of a discount. So let me know if you're interested. It talks about overcoming verbal and emotional abuse, school and workplace bullying, disordered eating, and all of those fun topics. But it's really for people that are needing to be reminded, whether that's you or somebody you know, that you can be your own hero and you can make that change in your own life. And I've heard from parents, that have said, oh, this was so helpful for me to better understand my child. And I've heard from people that have gone through those similar experiences saying, I thought I was alone, so thank you. So there's really a couple of different target audiences there. And then I'm working on a fiction, loosely inspired by recent events, novel, and then a few other things that I will look forward to telling you more about in the fall.
I love it. Suspense is killing me. Well, wishing you continued success, and you look fabulous and healthy, and I just appreciate all that you're sharing here with me and with our audience.
Oh, you're so sweet. I'm so glad that it was helpful. Anytime.
Definitely was. All right, we'll see you again soon.
Sounds good. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you to all of you who are watching or listening, whether it's live or in the replay. We really do appreciate it. If you'd like to be a guest on any of our shows, it's so simple. Go over to our website, usaglobaltv.com, book your session. Okay, our next show is coming up. It's Talking Heads, and Janetta Barry, the founder of the Epiphany Process, has her 30-minute show. So I'll be producing it, and I'd love to have you come back and join us. And we have back-to-back shows all day today, tomorrow, and Friday. We live stream Monday through Friday each and every week. And again, thank you for being part of this journey. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, we would greatly appreciate it if you would click subscribe so that you can be informed of our 28 weekly shows. We have all different types of topics with people from all over the world. If you have an idea for a show, or you'd like to have your own show, or you'd like to co-host a show, please do reach out. Go over to usaglobaltv.com. Contact us. That's all for now. Thanks so much. See you soon.